What's going on YouTube? OJ back with a solo lane tier list video. I've done this video like 3 times and every time I've just been unsatisfied. So hopefully this is the one where it's pretty solid. So this is going to be a ranked slash comp tier list. It's not going to be on the casual side. This is going to be my experiences in ranked and just watching a lot of SPL and SEC and playing a 2% like comp and a lot of scrims between a lot of different teams I've been on in the past couple months, just going in and off teams. Yeah, but let's go ahead and get started. So I just want to let you know now that a lot of mages and like your favorite picks might not be as high as they should because this is solo lane, and solo lane you can pretty much play anything, but it just kind of depends on your build and not like how you lane against the other opponent. And it's just, but there's always better picks, and you always just need a frontliner late game, just to tank up the burst and just, just take the focus off the back line sometimes. But it is what it is. All right, so let's go and start with Achilles. I'm gonna put Achilles in B. He's solid. Like he's never been, I would say, the best in recent years, but he's always been solid. If you can roll with him early game, he feels really good, but a lot of warriors can feel that way, and a lot of gods in general. Generally want to max as 3. I used to max as 1, just because the range on that ability is pretty long. But maxing a 3 is pretty generally just always better. Yeah. His executes are pretty good. His stun can be hard to play off of in team fights, but that's just kind of how it is. Yeah, I think Achilles is okay. I don't think he's going to be super top tier meta, but his early laning phases, if you don't have Bluestone, and Bluestone got a nerf, so it's kind of like in a weird spot right now. And I think the match start on him is just better anyway. But yeah, he's really good at poking and consistent damage on the other solo laner. Yeah, I think his like level 1 through 5 is just pretty rough. I wouldn't say 1 through 5. I'd say like 1, 2, 3 until you can get like a bunch of his abilities. But until then, it can be pretty rough. Agni, he's been played a lot in ranked just for like Dragon Story, and made a little bit of impact on that, but definitely just a well pick. Honestly, he's just a mage. He can abuse his early clear. He can poke out very well. I'll give him that. Agni poke out very well in lane, but other than that, Alpwatch, yeah, he just ain't it. Honestly. His burst is really good. His self-sustaining lane is really good. If you're going into like a full healing comp, I guess you could pick him, but that's like very, very situational. Unless your name is Deathwalker and playing him in the SPL, I don't really see a point in picking up Watch. Amaterasu, I think she's okay. I think she needs a couple items to get online. I used to think she was dog water, but my friend Chubby Ostrich, shout out to that guy, he's my main laner. He told me to try him out, and he's really good in comp, and I think she's really underrated. She's got a really good team fight. All the movement speed, the MS she gives to your teammates is nuts. She has a really good team fight late game. Her early game can be rough because I just think the Guardians right now are just really insane and can just abuse her. Because I went against like a couple Guardians as Ama, and it was just kind of rough. Even with Vamp Shroud being nerfed, they're still really solid. AMC is just another well pick. Sizzix, Dueler plays him in solo, and it's just kind of like a dual pick. You pick in solo if it's kind of your thing. Like tanky AMC is pretty fun actually, but not solid. You're not a frontliner late game. You can be tanky sometimes, but not as tanky as like the general solo laner, like a Guardian or Warrior. Yeah. Anhur, same thing. Honestly, just the same thing. Anubis, I would say situational. He's definitely a ranked love favorite. You're just supposed to snowball with him, but other than that, he's just a mage in solo lane. He just abuses it with early clear and gets totem. And if you play safer on Anubis and you just get anti-heal, he'll have a rough time late game for sure. Kuang, I think Kuang's really solid. He's obviously seen a bunch of play, but especially right now with like Serb being in meta, it's just really tough for Kuang to thrive. He could definitely one-shot as a solo laner, and he can get pretty tanky if you build him like the tanky build. But other than that, he's just below average. He's definitely better than these picks, I would think. Afro is definitely situationals because if she gets abused in lane, it's just really rough. Like I hate healing metas in general, but I have to put Aphrodite here just because she has seen play. And yeah, Apollo, I actually think Apollo is above this just because he has a global presence and his team fight is just, I think, a lot better than some of these guys. You could play off Agni stuns and stuff, but just the mez and the ult from Apollo, I think, is generally better. Yeah, Arachne, I think, just goes here. She just does Arachne things in lane. Just kind of like build katanas, and she's not generally good at all. You probably just build her like a jungler. You can go super tanky, and I've played like Arachne support and assault all the time, and it's so fun and it's a blast. But I just don't think she's really good in solo lane unless you're an Arachne main or as a comfort pick. Like if you play smart, you can just like outplay Arachne very easily. She's very predictable. Ares, very immobile, but does a shit ton of damage, and just being a Guardian right now with Vamp Shroud and Mystical Mail on Ares early game is really nice. But other than that, if he gets picked off in lane, he can have a rough time, but he does a shit ton of damage with his chains. And other than that, like he's got a really good team fight ult. It's just him being immobile. I think actually I put him here because he says seen SPL and comp play for sure. I think he's definitely better than these. And he's a frontliner, so that always helps. Yeah, I think he's definitely better. I think he goes there. Artemis, her team fight ult late game is really nuts, but again, she's not a frontliner. She's just 100 in solo lane. She's just really annoying to lane against. And most mages and hunters in this tier list, by the way, I'm just going to like zoom through because generally they're pretty much always the same. Artio, I think is I think she's okay. Actually, yeah, I think she's okay. She's really good at being annoying. I wouldn't say there's anything like too crazy. Her damage output is pretty decent if you build it right. I just think that there's better Guardians. I think I'll put her here just because she's. No, I'll keep her here. She's solid. I don't think she's always good. I think she's generally just okay. Like in lane, she'll do just fine. I like these guys, and I like to do it like this. I think she's definitely better than these two. I don't know. It's rough. Artio is just really weird right now. She's definitely seen a lot of play from like variety and stuff. She's very good at poking out and creating space, but I don't know. She's just in a weird spot for me. I think Athena right now is really good. The mask build is solid. The Vamp Shroud build is solid. Global presence is really good and ranked in comp. If you can pressure out certain lanes, very good. Just out rotating your opponent is very good in lane. Her laning phase, I think, is very very solid. She does a shit ton of damage still, even though she got nerfed on her taunt, on her damage. So yeah. Awilix is like up. She just kind of does one thing, and I don't know. She's just a jungler in my opinion. Her lane phase can be actually pretty good, and if people don't know how to play against Awilix, you can definitely abuse that. But generally, if you know how to play against Awilix, you can just play around her and set up yourself for a solo kill in lane. Generally, if they get overzealous. Baba Yaga, situational actually. She can get very tanky with like Warlock Staff and Ethereal Staff and a couple like health items and like maybe like a mantle or something. I think she's pretty solid actually. She can get very tanky and I think she's pretty solid actually. And she does a shit ton of damage. Bacchus, honestly, like I played Bacchus so many times and it's really rough to play Bacchus because if he gets interrupted very easily. And he's very easy to CC if he doesn't have his jump up. But other than that, he's alright. Even with the Vamp Shroud, it's just hard for me to put Bacchus any higher than like these, because these guys just roll Bacchus like every time, I think. Except for Afro. Afro is more like kind of early game-ish thing. Baka is just Whelp. It's just Baka things. He's just gonna hold left click once he gets like Golden Blade or like his katana's online. He's just gonna do one thing. He's just gonna run at you. If you just play smart, you'll outplay Baka. Baron. I think Baron is actually below average. I think he's more situational than he's less situational and he's more solid in lane. With Vamp Shroud and like his healings just for his team is nuts. His CC is really good. Just with the snake and the ult is really good for setting up. Yeah, his laning phase is, I think I said, is just pretty solid. That's pretty solid, I think. Yeah. Bastet just kind of does one thing. Those are cats, gets her damage off. It's like, yeah. Bellona, she's okay. I don't think she's definitely. People are saying she's meta. I don't know about that. But I think she definitely has her situations where she can set up for certain kills. And her old late game can be used like to help clear objectives and stuff. And it's I think it's pretty solid. Her laning phase is pretty good once you get if you do like the mask and the Warriors X start. Yeah, she's just pretty solid, I think. Cabrakan, always good right now. Vamp Shroud, his wall is really good for team fights. His laning phase is better than a lot of warriors right now. He owns so hard. Like he just pressure 3 and you just hit your stun and like he just full combos you, you're dead. Like it's generally simple. Like Cabrakan with Vamp Shroud or even the match start is just really good. It's very hard to kill if you play smart. You don't even have to play that smart with Cabrakan. You just kind of dish your damage out, you poke, and you just win the trade usually. It's very hard for Cabrakan to get out traded, I think. I actually think Camazots is okay right now. He does so much damage, and the only thing I think he doesn't provide late game is setup for his team. But he generally does a shit ton of damage if you're going like the soul eater build. Yeah. Serb, very good. His laning phase is pretty solid. I think you can go Warriors Axe or Bluestone and you'll be feeling pretty good. Okay, Cerberus, really solid right now. His ults just really good. The Stingy Torment's just really good. Having Prot Shred and Anti-Heal in this kit, very good. The CC is really good. He does a shit ton of damage too. His Serb is just solid. He's a Guardian right now. Vamp Shroud, even though it got nerfed, still really good. Yeah. CERN, Hunter. I don't know. CERN just feels really weak. I'm also going to put him down here. Even though he's a Hunter, he just feels really weak. I think his ult is really good. I think just because of his ult. I like that. Just being able to turn everyone into like a bull or a pig or something. It's pretty solid. Other than that, there's not much going for him. He's just a Hunter. No front line in the game, usual. Chalk. Everyone shits on Chalk for just being mindless, brainless character, but he's generally like the definition of a warrior. He doesn't die. He does his like one of the best early games for warriors generally if you play him right. He does a lot of damage early, and his damage can fall off a little bit late game for sure. His ult, if you get like a triple knockup, is pretty good. It's definitely not as good as like a clone knockup, but definitely creates a lot of space just by ulting and being annoying and constantly pressing. Just his healing and slow is pretty good for chasing. Yeah, he's just pretty solid, I think. People shouldn't shock, but I generally think he's like a decent warrior you can pick most of the time. He definitely like Ama will probably just shit on him late game, but like if you don't play solo, you can just play Chalk, and he just feels pretty solid and does a lot of damage to go to Nash start or yeah, like it's just solid. Chang'e, definitely situational. She definitely took a hit without having boots now. I mean, just having anti-heal in her kit and that ult is just really good setup, and she can be very tanky. But I think Baron definitely. Actually, I might put Chang'e here. I think she can be yeah. No, I don't know. This was hard. Chang'e's hard. I'm gonna leave her here for now. I'll change her mind later, but actually, just because of her ult, I think is really good. I'll put her below average. He just does Chang'e things. Heals your team. Really good team fight ult. Yeah, okay, yeah. Anti-Healing Cat. Okay, yeah, I think she definitely belongs in City for sure. Cherno is kind of like the same thing. Global Presence as Apollo. Just out-rotating your opponent can always be good, but you don't have a frontliner late game. You kind of just need to snowball in lane, but if you play smart around any, like, major ADC or Hunter in solo, you can just have a fine laning phase. You can potentially set up for solo kill, but like, they're just gonna be really annoying. Just because he's seen comp play a little bit, I'll put him in situational. Nah, I just can't see it. Like, Chiron solo, I think he's just another Hunter. I don't see anything too particularly good about him. Kronos, seen some ranked play, just very annoying. He can snowball lane very hard. I'm just gonna put him like I can't put myself in a situation where I'm putting Kronos like right here. I just can't. Yeah. Cthulhu. Yeah, I'm just gonna put him here. Just because the orange is not as prevalent as it used to be. He definitely is taking a hit. He's very good at creating space, but like, if you don't have a team in ranked, you kind of just flop. Like, if they don't follow up on any of your CC or anything, or your damage, and you created space, it's just really rough. Let's see. I mean, his laning phase is good. Vamp Shroud start or Mass start. I think Vamp Shroud is really good right now, even though still got nerfed, as I said a million times in this video. Yeah, I think he's solid. Cullen, the first actual warrior to make it to the A. Very solid anti-healness kit. Really good, like, potential for soloing anyone early. Even against Guardians, I think he has a very good chance if you play around his transforms at the right time and poke him out enough. Late game, I think he's late game. You get a triple knock-up and do a shit ton of damage, you can win a team fight. And then if you get like a 2-man root and your mage plays off that, pretty solid. You probably win the team fight. He does a shit ton of damage in his transform. I think a lot of people know that, and he's just solid. Like, he's just always good. I think he's generally better than most of these in lane, except for maybe like Shock and Alma when she gets an item or two in line, and Cthulhu. Bellona's pretty okay, actually. Actually, these are all pretty okay. It's just, I think Kukul's damage output and consistency for doing damage is way better. And his laning phases, I think, is generally better than most of these. Because some of these just stall, right? But he does damage and he can just pump out so much pressure, in my opinion. Cupid, good team fight ult. Other than that, if you don't hit your stone, hard to play off of. Hunter, yep, next. Hidaji. Definitely an assassin and can build very tanky and be very team oriented, but definitely needs a team for sure. In comp, I feel like she could be pretty good if because her lane phase isn't that bad from what I've seen, and she does enough damage. Like, she can definitely shred, and her ult just gets beads, and then your team can play off that. But honestly, Cerberus is better in every situation than Daji, so it's like, what's the point? But she can definitely be fun in ranked and comp. You can definitely build a team comp around her, but you generally don't want to build a team comp around your solo, unless it's like variety hell, which we'll get to in a little bit. Yeah, just she can be fun, but she's definitely just not. She's just very subpar. Danza, I mean, good old taunt, very annoying, does damage. Hunter, no front line. Discordia, definitely a CC, no frontline late game, just a mage, same thing. Erlang, I think Erlang's average. I think he's definitely gotten better with some of the items, even though Animosity took a big hit. His laning phase can be pretty rough. He definitely gets out-traded by some of these gods for sure. It can be rough for him. I think he's a way better jungler, but playing in solo is like, it's fine. You could play him in solo, I think you'll be fine, for sure. He's got a really good ult, and he's got a really good escape. So yeah. And his one-shot potential in the game is very good. If he's left alone with a backliner. I think you could just go the mass start. I think that's what I've seen a bunch of people do. Fafnir. Unless you're transforming, and if you don't hit your hammer, you kind of lose a lane. And if you have to jump to clear the wave, you're gonna either get ganked or like full CC chained, or just get shit on. So that's how that goes. I actually think Fenrir is actually a very underrated solo lane pick. He does a shit ton of damage. He has single target CC, which is very good for like solo lane potential or ganky potential, and even in team fights. Oops, sorry. My alarm. Sorry about that, guys. I think he's just really solid. Like, I think he's criminally underrated, just like Amaterasu. But yeah, laning phase is really solid. It just does a shit ton of damage, as I just said. And yeah, I think he's criminally underrated. Freya, it's just a mage ADC. Just gonna go there. Her whoop is like pretty good, but other than that, like just no front line. Ganesha, ain't it? I play Ganesha solo. Does some damage, and maybe I'm just bad with Ganesha and solo lane. But like, actually, I'll just put a whip. His ult is really good. Silence, very solid. But just don't pick Ganesha, even though he's a guardian. Just don't pick Ganesha. I'm putting Geb in B tier. I think Geb is OP. I think Geb with his shield and the Vamp Shroud start, and if you go like 2-1 Jade Imp, or like the Crystal, like Legion Helm, that line, that tree, he does so much damage with his 1 and his knockup, and his shield, his 3, is so good, and his ult is really good. Like he does damage with the solo lane build, and then you blink in and get like a triple stun, and that percentage based health damage. It's just so good. I think he's criminally underrated. It's very hard for Geb to lose lane. You just hold up your knockup. Actually, it's very easy for him to get ganked. I say lose lane is pretty hard, but to get ganked, he does have a lot of self peel with his ult and his knockup, and his shield. So, like, it's very hard to kill a Geb that plays very smart around blue buffs and ganks. His laning phase is pretty solid. He does enough damage, I think. He can definitely lose some pressure just a little bit, because he does need like a little bit of an item just to get started on the line, in my experience. But Geb's really solid. Guan Yu. Honestly, I think Guan Yu is, even though like his damage, like he's gotten some nerfs, I think he's pretty solid. He doesn't really lose lane. If you go the Mask, Warrior X start, so like Breastplate or Glad into the Genjis, he's just solid. Like he has healing with Cat Shoot late game. That like people, I can underestimate that. Like when sieging Phoenix and stuff, his if he gets interrupted his 3, it can be pretty rough. But I think he's generally always good. Like his damage on his 3 is nuts. Even though they nerfed the damage on his ult, he still do so much damage to like backliners with his ult. And like the ult late game, if you get like a triple stun and your teammates play off of that, it's kind of GG's. Yeah. Hachi has a pretty good ult. His 1's Dog Water. Hunter, no front line. Yep. Hades, situational just because he's a ranked nerd like Anubis. If you pub stomp, he's one of the best like gods to roll games with for sure. From like with a lead. Other than that, like he's solid. Hebo, like if you're playing against someone that knows how to play against mages, Hebo just needs a couple items and a couple levels, and he's pretty good to go. But again, no front line. He's just gonna blink into your back line, into their back line or your back line, and just kind of own with his ult and one shot. But other than that, like having not a front line is just really rough. Heimdallr. Yeah, it's just like the same thing. Like I don't know what to say. Hunter, no front line, single target ult, which is kind of rough. Yeah. Hell, we're gonna put Hell Appears because Variety played it in a late game team comp. I'm not putting it here, just because it's Variety and you definitely need team late game, but can do so much damage and can build very tanky as Variety. So like you want Breastplate and a bunch of other stuff. Just very solid. If you have a good team, it's very hard for her to lose lane, just because of her sustain and her poke. Just play back, play smart, and you can just have a good laning phase, just chilling. Era, Mage, boring, annoying. Get out. Argus, hate Argus. Hercules, I think is generally always good. Like his early game potential is just he does so much damage. His passive is really good. You do a fighter's mass start. He's just solid, like in general. Yeah, Hercules. Yeah, it's just like late game. He doesn't even really fall off that hard if you get your auto attack cancels in, and you get like a nice pluck for your team and like a nice push. Like you could do 700 damage with just like an auto attack cancel and like a push, and you're like an auto attack cancel with 3, and like a knockup. Like you could do like 1,000 damage with one combo. Just like some backliners if you play it very well. Yeah. And if you they like a double ult, like ricochet with his ult, and they're pretty much dead. And like you could build him super tanky, and he just doesn't die with shoulder regrowth and stuff. Horse, situational. I watched some VODs of like some SPO stuff because my friend Chubby told me that actual horse was a thing in solo, and he does a shit ton of damage, and he definitely needs a team to fight with. But generally, I've seen and I've shit on so many horses in lane just because like I don't know, he's just more of a support. I will actually put him below average. Just because he's seen SPL and comp play. But other than that, like, I can't put him here. His lane, I have to put him here just because his win rate in solo is so low. And people, I don't think, know how to play with Horus. But, yeah. Hou Yi, yep, you know the drill. Hunter, I mean, really good point control. And if you hit like a double stun, can danger team fight, but generally just you need a tank late game, front line just to so you just can't dive your back line, you know the drill. Hun Batz, situational. Very good team fight ult, pretty good damage. Other than that, I wouldn't put him anywhere above here, because like I think generally you want to go more damage based. You can go like Sledge, like Warrior's Axe, and like I don't know, just more damagey. Yeah. Eyes are ESET, sorry. ESET. Whoop. It's kind of like right there. Very good late game. Very solid early game laning phase. But she's a mage. And you can build her tanky. Actually, I would put her situational. I actually think she can be an okay solo laner in situations. Yeah, her ult's just really good. Her stun is very easy to hit and play off of, in my opinion. So yeah, I think she's solid. I think she's situational for sure. Izanami, dual god, I'm not going to go anything in there. She just clears lane, does 100 things. Janus, mage, like, global, other than that, yeah. Jing Wei, safest hunter in the game. Crit, I mean, other than that, knock up, her just plays super safe. Yorm is kind of dog water, but he's definitely a frontliner, so, actually put him below average. You can play off his knockups, but it's very hard. You generally want to be ulting into team fights, but a lot of situations you can find yourself ulting out. He does a lot of damage, because I think with certain items being buffed, he definitely has a potential, but just being a guardian. But I think that's his only mainstay. It's just the Vamp Shroud and like Mass start. That's his only thing. Kali. It's just like, I don't know, her laning phase is really rough. She needs items, she needs stuff like Golden Blade, and then the opposing solo laner can just abuse that, just kind of shit on her, and then late game, if she's not going full damage, like there's kind of no point, I think, to call it solo. Capri, well, he can do damage, but you have to make him less tanky, and I think that takes it away from the point of a solo laner. Very good setup though, definitely for sure. Just because he is like definitely meant to be a support. Ult is OP for sure. Just getting any type of like res on your teammates is really nice with a quarter HP. Even like on your ADC, like just change the whole team fight. You probably wouldn't, to be honest, if they hit their autos. King Arthur, okay. They nerfed his damage and his items, and even though I'm a King Arthur main, he's just not as good as these guys are now. Like, he's solid. He needs Bluestone, and Bluestone took a little bit of a hit. They took off like 3 power, and they nerfed it. They just nerfed it. Like, it's just really rough. I don't know why they nerfed it, to be honest. But, yeah. And they took away Tank Boots and Gaia. Or they nerfed Gaia, took away Tank Boots. So he definitely gets a lot worse. You could definitely still build Gaia, but it's just not as, like, they nerfed the passive on it, so it's just not as good. It's rough to see Arthur down here, but he has been meta for a while, so I can see the frustration with some people. But yeah, he definitely feels, if you could build Sovereignty, but it's not the same damage output with Tank Boots and Gaia. Like, it's just not the same. Yeah. Cuckoo. I used to be a Cuckoo main back on the console days. Yeah, I don't know. Like, you can build Breastplate and get power from his passive, but other than that, that's like one of the only things I see. Like, he just clears wave, plays super far back, you gotta play super safe. No CC immunity on Cuckoo. Other than that, yeah. Like, it's just, Kumbhakarna, situational, I've sold a Bellona. It's pretty funny, probably put it in the next montage, but, he does enough damage. His CC and setup for his team is really good. Taking someone out of the fight for a couple seconds and then setting up for them to kill him is very good. Yeah, I think Koopa's actually pretty situational. He just might have a rough landing phase because he has a wind up on his 2. But he can be very safe sometimes. Like a lot of self boot for sure with the mess. And his dash is pretty long. Longer than I thought when I tested it in Juggle Practice. Kuzumbo. I think Kuzumbo is literally OP, but no one's playing him for some reason. His push in a wave, he does so much damage. If you go to Mass Start or the Vamp Shred Start, you're doing so much damage anyway. His ult, his displacement of his ult, it does 1,000,000 damage. Like, I don't know, he pops his 3 and pops Thorns and goes in there. Even with, like, nerf Thorns, he does so much damage in his ult and just his push to wave and just, like, single lock target CC is very good. I think he's criminally underrated, and I think he needs to be picked more. That's my opinion. Loki. I think he's okay. Tanky Loki feels pretty alright. He does a lot of damage. Can definitely one-shot backliners. He could be very tanky, to be honest. So I have no gripes about that. And yeah, I think Loki's actually pretty solid. Medusa. I think you just go like. I don't know. Because Bluestone got nerfed. You probably still want to go Bluestone, or you can go Warrior's Axe into something else, like a tier 1 base, honestly. Or not even base, Soul Eater, sorry. Yeah. Or something. I don't know. I don't know how to build Loki solo, but I just know he's pretty solid and can be really tanky and do 1,000,000 damage. Medusa, I don't know, just build Bluestone on her and put her in lane, but I don't know. No frontliner that game. Merc. Honestly, build Golden Blade, definitely one of the weaker ones. Yeah. Merlin is a mage, has a lot of damage, CC, no CC immunity, mage, no frontline. Morgan, kind of the same thing, has some CC, ult is really broken at the moment. Yeah. Mulan, let's see, I'm gonna put Mulan in, yeah, below average. I think she's with Jorm. Definitely has a rough time. Her early game laning phase is really good, and if you're not playing from ahead, she can feel pretty bad. Her kit's just like, I think it just needs like a little tune-up, maybe some more damage, because adding damage always fixes things. Finally, I've added the ability to cancel her ult, which is kind of nice, like a month ago. But other than that, it's like she's just solid. She can definitely heal a lot with her too. And other than that, I think she's just below average. Neath, I don't know, man. Just, I mean, having a global ult is really good, so I guess I can put her here. But other than that, like, I don't know. It's just like no frontline again. Nemesis, I mean, she's pretty fun to play, but you can both are tanky. But I don't know. She's just she gets popped like a balloon in the game. Can have a rough landing phase if you don't like play really smart with her. Neja, situational, single target CC. Her landing phase is alright. Her ult is really good late game, taking someone out of the fight. late game. I think she's situational for sure. Her, you can't really build her tanky as much, so you build her more damage. Yeah, just her like, kind of her like rework on some of her stuff. Not a rework, but like nerfs and like just stuff. She just does a lot less as tanky, like a lot less base damage to tanky assassin. Nike's okay. She's gonna do damage. She's gonna poke you out a little bit. She's gonna use her 2 and just be really annoying. And her leap over walls on this map just helps a lot. Her ult's solid. Like, she's just a solid gun, solid warrior, Kali Chalk. You can play that game to feel pretty good. And she does damage, creates space. Yeah. Nox, I don't even talk about Nox. I hate Nox. Nuwa solo. Actually situational. You can build Nuwa very tanky. Very tanky. And her minions are very annoying to deal with. And her stun does a lot of damage. Yeah, you can actually build, like, Nuwa supports actually thing, which is crazy. Just because her CC is really good and she does a lot of damage, and she can build her very tanky, and like, yeah, that's pretty much that. Let's see. Odin is going all the way up to S. He's literally always banned, or you generally want to pick him. He's like an 80% pick rate or something like that, something crazy. Or like ban rate or something like 80 or 75%. Really good team fight ult, laning phase, very hard to kill Odin. He's very annoying against. He gets away with so much. A lot of self peel, his stun, his shield, his jump, and his ult. He's so much self peel, and like just ability to survive in lane. Like, and late game, his ult is just solid unless they're buying like, I don't know, like a Phantom, like just getting like someone trapped in there and having like, I don't know, say like a Scylla Crush or a Scylla ult go off on there with some extra CC and more damage from a hunter. Like, they're just dead. Like, they're literally just dead, and it's all just because of one Odin ult. Alright. Oleron, yeah, I don't know. Mage ADC can kind of take over lane if he snowballs, but yeah. I'm putting Osiris in S. And it's mainly because he can be played in jungle and in solo. He's very good in both. He does so much damage in solo, and his damage mitigations are nuts. I'm not going to be surprised if he doesn't see a nerf in an upcoming patch very soon. And like his ult range when they buffed it made him really nice, and he does a lot of damage. They've been slowly buffing Osiris over time, and he's like his passive with his damage mitigations. You know, like just being able to auto like that is crazy. He does a lot of damage, and like must pick or ban, and it's mainly because he can be played very well in 2 roles, and he's like that flex is just very nice in comp and in ranked. Pele, situational. She does a shit ton of damage, and Soldier, and just heals a lot. I think she's pretty fun. Just in casuals I play her, but yeah, you can play her in ranked and definitely snowball and definitely own for sure. But she's definitely situational, I think. Persephone, Mage, Dogwater, yep. Poseidon solo, same thing. I've seen it a million times, and it like they just stall lane, they crack in you, and then you just get out. Like it's it's the same thing. Raw solo actually situational. You can actually play raw solo and like be fine. You just build like Lotus Crown and go Vamp Shroud right now, and like you do damage. You can tank some stuff actually. Yeah. But definitely not like C tier. It's just like a situational, I think. And you can run the game with him a little bit, but Raijin, Mage, same thing with like Agni and stuff. Just kind of roll the game, abuse your lane pressure and stuff. Yeah. Rama, we'll put right here. Hunter, same thing. Rad is definitely below average. His global ult is very good. His laning phase is very rough. You could definitely still play him, but he's been abused in lane a lot more lately. And assassin solos are just kind of weak right now in general. Unless you're going like Camazots and you're doing a shit ton of damage. Rat can do damage, but I think he just needs an item or 2 online. Actually, no, I take that back. He does a shit ton of damage early. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know. He just gets picked off really early. I'll put him in okay. I think he has more prevalence than these guys for sure. I'll put him here, but he definitely has a rough. His lane phase can be rough if he's going against like a guardian. So it's okay. I just want to put him below average because he gets owned so hard by like a lot of these guardians. Yeah. And like Loki's different just because he's just so slippery. I guess I'll put him here. It's very. I think Rat's in a really weird spot. He's just not seen play, so I think it's situational. Not very situational where I put him here or here, but like you can argue for B or C. I think it's spent enough time on Rat. Ravana, situational. Assassin that was supposed to be a warrior. A lot of setup. He can do a little bit of damage, but he's definitely more of a setup guy. He can do a lot of damage if you auto attack cancel right. Don't get me wrong, but definitely just not as good as these picks. Very hard to gank, so I like his laning phase. But other than that, he's going to be generally setting up for teammates. Dragon Story, Scylla, famous. I hate it. Serket solo, definitely situational. You can definitely play Serket solo. She has CC. She does a lot of damage or taunt. I mean, yeah, she's very slippery too with a dash and her leap and her ult. Like, her ult's very nice right now. But definitely more situational. More of a jungler for sure, or support. Let's see. Set. I think Set's in an okay spot right now. You're just gonna do set things. You're gonna press your forward button and just skewer everybody. And other than that, yeah, like he's just really solid. His laning phase is alright. Definitely a little bit rough into some of these guardians, but other than that, like he can definitely snowball rank games, and like it's seen plenty of comp play last season. Some this season, not as much, for sure, but Scotty, annoying, Hunter, Sobek, always good. Oh, nope, not Sean. Sobek, always good. This guy literally never dies, does a shit ton of damage, Event Shroud, Mass Start, laning phase, late game, that ult, slow, the knockup, you can play off his knockup pretty alright, and the pluck, if you pluck someone, it's your team, they should die, like at a Phoenix Siege, so, it's very solid, I mean, can't go wrong. Soul, yep, going there, Wukong, yeah, Wukong is always good. Wukong's gonna always be good. Slippery, does a shit ton of damage, never dies, literally never dies. If you get solo to Wukong, it's just kind of rough. Tough scene on you. But yeah, does a shit ton of damage, pokes. Late game, still has some relevance, which is crazy. I think you go like Sledge Warriors X. You can go Bluestone, but I think it's a little weaker right now, and I think Warriors X is just better. Yeah. Susano is Whelp. He's just in a rough spot unless you auto attack cancel perfectly. Like, I'll put him situational. I think his CC is pretty good. He has no CC immunity, and he's just really like a one-shotter. That's about the same thing like Pele, but I think Pele's just better too. So Vaughn is situational. He's definitely like if you're not going mannequins on him and abusing his autos and like stuff like that, it's a little rough. Like I've just shit on so many Sylvanas with Arthur, and Arthur's like not even that good right now. So, Terra, we're gonna Terra, and I think her lane phase. She stalls really well. She does a shit ton of damage. You can gank her, for sure, but I think she can definitely play smart. Definitely solid. Her late game ult is just nuts. I mean, what am I gonna say? Yep. She's guardian. I think she's solid. Dan Solo. I love me some Dan Solo, and there's gonna be a little bit of favorite in Dan, but definitely situational. Definitely have to snowball. Late game, you really just want to hit your silent. You just want to get the combo like, I'm just gonna press my 2 silence. Scythe. That's like half of their health, and if you auto attack cancel like right on them, pretty good. You want to set up with your ult sometimes, and execute late games are pretty nice. If you just keep going and healing and sustaining off like a Warriors X proc with Dana, and like if you get some stone cutting, you're feeling really good. But you definitely have to snowball for sure. And it's not like he doesn't have relevance to the game as a tanky soul laner. He does a lot of damage, but he can definitely fall off harder than a lot of gods. Thor solo below average. I think he's definitely better than most of these. Seen a bunch of comp play and SOT played him recently, and it looked really good. They just kind of a team fault. He's really good. Just general damage, really good early. His setup with his wall, his ult is really good in team fights. You can build him very tanky. You can go like Bluestone breastplate Genjis into like I don't know, into like go sledge I guess too. Just get some extra damage in there. But like you can build them very tanky and like you can put like brawlers or something later, and like you'll be feeling really good still. You'll be just doing so much damage. You'll be so tanky and you'll be very hard to dive, in my opinion. But if you're ulting out, generally not a good look. You generally be ulting in initiating fights as Thor. Morgan, definitely situational. You can build her very tanky, and her ability just to transform into the other team is very nice. She's only good as the comp she can turn into, but generally, if they're picking OP gods, just being able to transform to like something like Tiamat or like a Morgan Le Fay and just setting up just for a couple seconds after you use your like regular Morgan kits is pretty solid. You could build her very tanky. It doesn't feel good, but you can. She's definitely situational. I think she's better than all these guys over here, like in terms of team fight and late game. Just pokes you out, very annoying. It's the same thing as mid lane. He's pretty much always gonna out clear you pretty much and just out poke you, until you get your like defense online. Tiamat, definitely situational. We've seen her in pro play. And Nika played her very well, I would think, but that was during like when they bought 9 Benevolence, so he just kind of got gold spool diffed and just gold spool diffed. He looked very good actually. Tiamat looked very good, like when Nika played her, but definitely situational and can definitely have rough matchups for sure because her early can be kind of rough for sure. Tsukiyami, one shots backliners. Definitely a good amount of CC. Ult really good. Does a shit ton of damage, even when tanky. Very good laning phase in my opinion. You just poke him out, you stay super far back, and you use abilities. And if you see the slow lane potential kill, you can just use your 2. But I generally hold my 2 most of the time, unless you need to clear the wave. But after a certain point, you just use your 1 with Tsukiyami, and you just clear the whole wave. But definitely below average, can definitely get owned by a lot of these gods for sure. Yep. Tier is generally always good, or like always okay. You can never really kill Tier with his ult, and he's gonna pop his 3. I'll put Tier here. I think Tier is definitely better than Arthur in such situations, just because you can go like Bluestone, or you can go like Warriors Axe. I've seen the Mass Star. You can generally, I think Tier is definitely better than some of these guys. It does so much damage, and there's multiple builds you can go with Tier as well. Uller, just like a dual god hunter, doesn't need to be over here. Vamana, yep, solid. Just I mean, he feels like it's very hard to gank a Vamana. He just presses his forward button and gets out, or just dashes, and dash is super long. He has the slow. Yeah, he's I'll say he's okay. Yeah, you just buy Ankh and you kind of that's about it. He just feels okay. Like he doesn't feel really great. Vulcan, Slimery, Dual God, Mage, like just does damage. X-Ball, I'm just gonna put here. Very good team fight all, but other than that, like it's that's the only thing that's good for him. Jing, I'm gonna put here. Always good. Just really never dies. Jing, pretty good laning phase and stuff. Yeah, I think Jing is just generally always pretty good. Moja, situational. Jing's laning phase, like I don't know if I said, just very solid. Like the Fire's Mask, regular or the Vamp Shroud start, pretty solid. And then it's a team fight ult late game, just very good. Does a significant amount of damage to the backline, just very solid. Probably just repeated that like twice, but that's right. Umoja. situational. Definitely does a lot of damage, I would say. Team fight late game is pretty good. Ymir Soul is pretty fun. Definitely some like damage potential right there. Ymir's solo is so much fun, but he's just immobile. Like, actually, I'll put him here. I'll put him in C, below average, because he could definitely solo almost any of these guys. I think the only guy like, pretty much he can't solo like level 2. Like you just walk up and you bonk him with Frostbite. And it's just so fun. Yeah, Zhong is definitely okay, especially right now. Very tanky Zhong, does a lot of damage, seen a lot of comp play. Only thing he really lacks is like CC in team fights, but that's not what you're doing with Zhong. Your main plan with Zhong is just to get in there and like 1v3 induce, get your damage off, and have your team. You create so much space for your team that you just win. That's generally what he does. Zeus, Mage, and that's pretty much it. Like, you know, he's like solid lane phase, but like just because he's Mage. And I'm pretty satisfied with this tier list. The only guy that's not on here for some reason is Gilgamesh. And I will put Gilgamesh in must pick ban. You can go to match start, you can go I think you just go to match start pretty much every time. His lane phase can be rough, just because you have to go up to the wave and you generally want to use your 1, max your 1. That's what everyone usually does. You can max the kick, but like I don't know, maxing that is just really rough. You generally want to max your 1 because that's what it does. Does much damage, does clear, decent AOE. Yeah, I put him there, and it's kind of the same reason as Osiris, as in he's a jungler. He's a really good jungler, and he's a solid soul winner. So you kind of must pick ban him. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I think I like this tier list a lot. There's definitely some personal preferences and opinions in here, but like that's just always gonna happen. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. All my links are down in the description. Thank you for watching.